Nintendo announcing a new console, the Switch 2. My buddy Lame Dad's over here. He has purposely kept himself in the dark about the Switch 2. So his general questions are going to be out of pure curiosity.
And what you're telling me about the Switch 2 is the first time I'm hearing anything about it.
I love that. Don't be mad at me for Nintendo's decisions, but I'll answer the best I can.
All right, if you are a Nintendo fan, what is there to be excited about for the Switch 2? Why am I buying this?
Well, you're buying it because you get the first-party franchises that you can't get anywhere else. First and foremost, obviously. Like, Mario fans, you can't play that anywhere else. Smash Bros, the new Mario Kart. I don't know if I'll reveal the other games quite yet to you. We'll save those for later, but yeah, it's the first-party franchises. It's Nintendo's first 4K console. Finally, they're upgrading to that, and better frame rates than ever. They're talking 120 FPS in some games, 60 FPS in handheld mode. Like, a lot better specs than the original Switch, and the new first-party titles can't beat it.
So I know that with the announcement came some pushback on a few things. One of them was the price being too high. I believe $450 for the console, and then $80 to $90 for the games. Is there any validity to those complaints being too high for the console and the games?
The console price is fair. I think $450 for what you're getting is very, very reasonable. I mean, you look at other consoles on the market, that's about what you're paying for just about any other, like PS5, Xbox Series X, those are all around $500. So getting the new Switch with Mario Kart seems pretty reasonable. The game prices going up to like $80 to $90, like $90 for physical editions. That's kind of absurd. Like, I don't want that to be the new market standard. That's kind of what people are worried about, because if Xbox and Sony follow suit, like, it's not going to go backwards ever. It's just going to keep going up and up, and Nintendo's kind of pushing that. So that's what I'd be most worried about. The console price, though, I think is very reasonable.
Yeah, that seems pretty fair. I mean, PS5 Pros are outrageously priced. 450 seems legit.
So we didn't talk before this about our answers, but I want to say I fully agree with everything you just said. I feel like $450, it's valid for the console price, but I don't like the idea of the $80 to $90 games. That's a lot of money. Sometimes you're $10 away from $100 on one game. That's tough for me to swallow.
And then, like, what does that do to your Ultimate Edition or your Deluxe Editions or your Special Edition games that are already, $100, $200? Raise them up.
Yeah. And if they're going to charge more for physical releases as well, that's just going to make them fizzle out more and more. Because they're saying even the physical cartridges now aren't going to actually have the game data on them. It's just going to give your console permission to download it. So you don't actually own the copy of the game, you're just owning like a download code basically. So
I was going to bring that up and ask you about that. Do you have some thoughts?
That was definitely my biggest complaint about the price, is that if you're going to pay $90 for a physical copy, at least give me the physical copy. Don't just give me a download code, because that you could have just sent me a piece of paper.
Yeah, so as a physical collector, I have a lot of games in my library, and I do not like that idea of this flimsy little cartridge doesn't really do anything. You have to download the game from the cartridge, and it's not ideal to me.
Like, buy physical, it's for a reason. I want to have the actual game.
Absolutely.
I'll buy digital if not.
Also, I don't think you could really validate having like collector's editions if the physical copy is still just a download code. It's not actually a physical
But the
copy.
trinkets they come with, you need those statues and little...
But like the player's choice and that kind of stuff doesn't make sense.
So Dave, what are your thoughts though on the game prices and the games not actually being on the cartridges?
Yeah, the games not being on the cartridges is extremely disappointing, but it's also a sign of where the market and the industry is going, right? Like, we've bought games before where we've opened the games and it's just a piece of paper. And it's like, what? I bought a physical case for a piece of paper? So, like, and then again, yeah, the price is going up to be $90. Sony, and if Microsoft is around, they're going to follow suit.
So I've purchased games before. I think Dave bought the same one, but we bought Tomb Raider. What was the subtitle?
Temple of Osiris.
The Temple of Osiris on the PS4, and it's a physical copy, but you open up, there's no disc. It's a download code. So they give you a case for it, but there's no disc, and that just drives me nuts.
That should be a crime.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't even get manuals anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a lost art right there.
I know.
The manual.
So with the price of games probably going up to that, right? Is the Switch 2 backwards compatible?
Yeah, so it's backwards compatible with all Switch 1 games, and they're talking about some games are going to have like bonus content and like higher frame rate resolutions, things like that. But they're selling that for an additional price. Like I don't think they revealed how much each like addition's going to be to each game, but they said like the Kirby game, Forgotten Land, Zelda games, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, they're going to have like enhanced performance versions, things like that. So people are speculating between like $10 and $20 for that, but that's kind of even more when you spend 60 or 70 on the game to begin with.
Let's talk about some of these games. Have you been wowed by any of that have been announced yet? Or are you like, need to wait a little bit longer?
Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be game of the year. I'll call it right now. That game looks phenomenal. That's definitely what got me the most hype. That was like the big game they send everyone out on. Fantastic looking.
What other games have been announced so Dave can know what's coming on the Switch 2?
I think he'll want to tell you about the other big name.
Kirby Air Ride 2.
I'm not a Kirby fan.
That's fair, but for me, Kirby Air Ride was just like absolute nostalgia. We got a copy 2 years ago, I think, or something like that, and we just started playing it and it was like, this is amazing.
So fun.
They didn't show off like Metroid Prime 4 or anything?
They showed quite a bit of that, yeah. I haven't played any Metroid Prime games, so that's like not one I'm going to pick up immediately. I think that's going to be on the Switch 1 as well, so it's not a reason to upgrade, but that Donkey Kong game and Kirby Air Ride, that's coming out later this year as well, so
Those are
two
going to be Switch 2 exclusive?
Switch 2 exclusives, yep.
Are there any games that you are predicting that will be announced or that will be on the Switch 2?
New 3D Mario, I thought that was what they were going to announce at the end of that presentation, because like Donkey Kong's great and like I think it looks amazing, but that's not quite the system seller as like a new Mario, like Mario Galaxy 3 or a brand new Odyssey type of thing. So that's going to happen whether we want it to or not, and Smash Bros as well. Like I don't know if they're going to make a brand new game or just add more to Ultimate, because I feel like you can't really beat Ultimate.
What more can you do with Ultimate?
More characters. Dr. Eggman.
Yeah.
Waluigi.
He'll never give us Waluigi.
No, they hate us.
Are there any other Nintendo franchises that you think are gonna be on the Switch 2 within the first year of it?
Pikmin also.
Like a new game, or is that a port they're showing?
I don't. That might not be a new game. That might be just the newest one that's available on Switch, just being shown on the new Switch 2.
Did they announce that they're gonna put the GameCube on the Switch 2, like the emulator?
Yeah, so there's like 3 or 4 games that they said are going to be on the GameCube. So F-Zero is one of them, so that could be a series they're potentially thinking about bringing back, because you can play online like the GameCube version now. So there's a chance they're going to kind of test the water with that, see how popular it is, and go from there. Because F-Zero GX, I think, is the most recent home console F-Zero game, and a lot of people love that game. So I think there's a decent probability, now more than ever, with that being one of 4 games they picked to be on the GameCube. So
Yeah. Dave, do you have any predictions of Nintendo franchises that should reappear on the Switch 2, or ones that have been in the shadows for the past couple years that you would like to see come back on the Switch 2?
So I'm not a huge Nintendo fan to begin with. I'm more of a Sony pony, right? But I do like how you said they were talking about Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime, they've done nothing with for a long time. Metroid Dread was fantastic, phenomenal game. I'd like to see them do more like classic Zelda games. Like I get that
like top-down?
top-down and just more linear. Like I know Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are just massive, massive games that everybody loves, and that's fine, but I prefer like a 15-hour linear Zelda game. And whether or not we'll get like a Wind Waker remaster or an Ocarina of Time remake, remaster, that would be phenomenal.
Well, Wind Waker's on the GameCube virtual console thing, yeah, so
Even better.
I think they upscaled it a little bit as well.
One of my biggest complaints with my Switch, and I do play it a lot, is the drift on the Joy-Cons. Is this going to be addressed with the Switch 2? Do you think we're going to get better quality Joy-Cons, or what are your predictions with the durability of the Switch 2?
At the price point, I hope it's a little more durable. I mean, they showed off that the stick's gonna be a little bit bigger and like more comfortable to use, so that's a plus. I don't know if they really addressed the drift issue. I'm sure it won't be a problem. I mean, hopefully not. I am worried about like the magnetic like how they're sticking to the system now. They don't like slide it anymore.
Why don't you tell Dave how they do that, or the difference from the Switch to the Switch 2 with what they're doing?
Yeah, so the first Switch you like slide them in, it like clicks in very like physically and satisfying. The new ones are just kind of magnets that stick in. I think there's a button to release them. I am a little worried about how strong that's going to be holding. I'm sure it's fine. They've probably tested it a ton, but that is a concern I have until I actually see it for myself. I'll have my doubts.
Nintendo's had some pushback recently because of the price point and a few other things. I believe that they canceled the pre-orders for April 9th. Is that true?
Yeah, I heard about that. I'm not sure. I don't think they've announced when they're gonna like resume that. I don't know what the exact situation is. That is kind of a concern. Like that could lead to price increases, or I don't think it'll delay the launch. I think they still said June 5th is like the hard launch date, but
Oh, so that's the launch date for the Switch 2, June 5th.
yeah.
Okay,
June, yep.
there you go, now you know. So, if someone already has a Switch, besides getting the exclusives on the Switch 2, why should they buy a Switch 2? They already have the original Switch and they don't care so much about the exclusives. Is there a reason?
Probably not as much. Like the reason the first Switch sold so well is because the new concept of being able to take it on the go and play it at home was like the big system seller. And this has the same thing, but if you already have the base Switch and don't care about those new first-party exclusives, I mean there are new like third-party games as well. Like they're gonna bring like Madden and like bigger games like that. I think some Call of Duty as well. But if you have like a PlayStation already and a Switch, there's really no need to do it if you don't care about the first-party stuff.
I'm still just waiting to hear Grand Theft Auto on Nintendo.
Then you have to get it. Yeah, I guess. Or
Absolutely.
So, you're obviously a big Nintendo fan. Are you planning to buy the Switch 2 on the first day?
1000%. I gotta make videos on it. Yeah,
That's a great answer.
for work.
Alright, so if you are in charge of Nintendo, let's put you guys as the CEOs of Nintendo. What would you do to make more fans excited about the Switch 2? What are you changing about it? I think the price point for the games is an obvious one,
Yeah.
but to me, I think there's not that much excitement. I could be wrong, but what would you guys do to put more excitement into the fan base?
So I think the concept of the Switch 2 itself is very like basic. Like they're just taking the Switch and making it better, which is what people expected, and there hasn't been a really like big thing that shakes things up like Nintendo's known for. Like the Wii U failed, that tried something completely different, and obviously the Switch did as well. Like every generation they seem to do something unique, and this one's kind of lacking that. I was hopeful that there'd be more like, and there's still a chance they like support VR more with the Switch, because obviously with a higher resolution screen, slide that into like some kind of a headset and use those two controllers like Quest controllers or something. So I think there's still potential for that. That's really how you could evolve the Switch concept. Instead of being a hybrid console, you have 3 different options: VR, portable, home console. But outside of that, I mean, I think it's very kind of expected.
Now, Dave, what are your overall thoughts on the Switch 2? Because this is the first time that you're hearing all of this information on purpose. You kept yourself in the dark. You wanted to do it for this panel. What are your general thoughts on the Switch 2 and the games and the prices, all of that?
So I'm very excited to hear about the GameCube online service. It's cool that we're finally now getting like 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, better quality. You know, it's like now we're finally getting better games, or better. They're keeping up with Sony and what Xbox is trying to do. I'm not crazy excited.
Well, you didn't really care for the Switch in the first place, but that's just because you got it for your kids.
Yeah, my kids play the Switch. And don't get me wrong, we have a blast playing like Mario Party, and Smash Brothers. It's a family console.
Do you have any questions about the Switch 2 that hasn't been answered, or are you curious about anything?
You know, we covered the drift, which is an atrocity that I'm telling you, it's still going to be an issue. I was really curious about the backwards compatibility. Glad to see that that's happening.
There is one additional feature for the Switch 2 that, to me, doesn't make sense. They showed it in games. Just get rid of it, in my opinion. But the Joy-Cons are also mice,
No?
like
You
mice.
use it as like a computer mouse.
Yeah, and
Kind of concept. It does not look comfortable at all. You're using the shoulder buttons as like the left and right click. They're showing it with Metroid, so it's like an FPS that you can use a mouse for. I'm sure there'll be some kind of peripheral you can use to have an actual mouse connected to it, but that does not, like, it's cool to have that as a feature, but not going to be very
But
practical.
see, something like that makes me excited and hopeful that, like, man, maybe we might get like a Mario Paint. They may bring Mario Paint back. Like that.
I didn't
would be
think of
awesome.
that.
That would be fun.
So what I was gonna say was, with the 3DS, you have the stylus. How cool would it be to have a stylus for maybe the Switch 2, where you could actually do stuff on the screen? Like, I think that would go a long way. Maybe.
Maybe.
Pokemon Ranger, bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to make more experiences tailored to that. Like, they want them to be able to be playable in handheld and docked mode, so it's probably not super likely, but you can keep dreaming. Never know.
Did you guys want to talk about Mario Kart World and predictions for it?
I think the premise in general looks awesome. Like, an open world Mario Kart game is not something I would, like, think I wanted, but I really, really want it after seeing it. Like, on one hand, I'm kind of upset we don't have, like, a fully open world, like, Mario game yet. Like, Bowser's Fury was kind of a taste, and we thought they were going to do something big for Switch 2. And they probably still will, but with this game, I feel like they're putting so much, like, effort and resources into it that a new 3D Mario is probably going to get pushed a little bit, maybe next year, year after that, something like that. But I'm very excited for this game overall. A lot of new looking mechanics. Hopefully they bring Diddy Kong back.
They got rid of him and added the cow from Moo Moo Meadows.
Yeah, I don't know who made that decision.
So what makes it open world?
So there's going to be standalone tracks, but they're all connected in one big world. So like you can kind of drive from one to the next, which it looks really cool. I don't know what they're going to do in those in-between areas to make them more engaging. Like maybe they'll have like collectibles, things like that. That's what I'm hopeful for. You can also get used to the mechanics more, just kind of experimenting, screwing around more than a regular track would allow.
So let's get something settled right now. Who is the best Mario Kart player between you two, as well as the Super Smash? Who's better at each?
So, him on the Mario Kart for sure, and Smash Bros
for sure.
most of the time. However, there are days where,
If I'm half asleep, you might have a chance.
Now you mentioned the new Donkey Kong game, correct?
Yeah.
What has you excited about that? Because you're saying it's going to be Game of the Year. What has you excited?
3D platformers are my favorite genre in general, and I've been waiting for like a Donkey Kong Country game since Tropical Freeze in 2014. So it's been over a decade. We're finally getting a brand new one, and it's 3D. It looks really great. Like the art style, I love the new Donkey Kong design. There's a lot of cool ways you can interact with like the environments and things like that. Like you can like break through the ground, like dig tunnels. Way more unique than like a 3D Mario has in a while. I think it looks really cool.
You know, that's awesome to hear. Like, Tropical Freeze was awesome. I've always loved the Donkey Kong games. And if that's like, we're getting like a Donkey Kong 3D platformer, that is pretty big. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I hope it's like more on the difficult end, because like the Donkey Kong Country games are very tough. So I'm hoping, because like Super Mario Odyssey, the one complaint is that it's very easy. So I'm hoping this is just a more like experimental and challenging version of that. And if it's anything like that, I'm all for that.
Last thing, what is the thing that you're most excited about for the Switch 2? We can leave it off with that.
I'm excited for a new Smash Brothers. I know they haven't announced it yet, but like character reveals for that game are the most hyped thing probably ever. So I'm really excited for that. But Donkey Kong right now is the big game that I'm excited for, and that's coming July 17th. So that's very close as well.
Well, Robert and Jeremy, thank you so much for coming up on stage, sharing some predictions and excitement for the Switch 2, along with some questions you have for it.
Thanks so much.
I